Hi, I'm Bridget from Bridget's Bohemian Bunkhouse. Today we're on day 2 of making our pulled wool saddle pads, so I'm on round 4. I'm going to add in right here, starting off. Let's get going. Okay, we'll get started with the favorite join. So we're going to bring the two thin down ends together, kind of run your hands over it, and then pinch it up close to the canvas. We're starting a new round. You're going to come in with the hook. So I'm just kind of separating it. Close the hook and bring that loop up. So it's this one that I joined. I'll try to get you a little better view of how I close the hook over the wool. I know there's quite a few people who don't use the latch. So this is what I'm saying when I say you want your wool in there. It's kind of actually the perfect amount to pull through the holes, which makes sense. I'm going to keep going, and I will meet up with you guys when I get to my next join. Okay, we're getting ready to join. The book that I'm listening to tonight is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's such a good book. Ironically, he's a shepherd. Here, I'm going to flip the pad over and I'll show you. Okay, so this is the join that I do when the wool is fighting me or if I'm changing colors. So you're going to take your latch hook and open it up, and you're going to start like you're starting over. So I just kind of brush it through the wool and start pulling out pieces of wool to really thin it down. You don't want it to be thick. The thickness can kind of end here, so we just super thin it down because you do want it to felt in if you can. And you should probably, if you aren't familiar with wool, you might want to pinch it. Try and do that for you. And just kind of brush it, grab it, thin it down. So you'll just go a little bit more. So that's not too thick. So I'm going to come in under 3 loops, 2 loops. So you put your hook in. I'll show you. It's going to slide through this one and come out in this loop next to my roving, and kind of make a loop with your finger. Close the hook over it. You definitely want the hook closed. If you don't, it's going to snag on the other wool, but if you're the kind of person that's ripped that latch off, it should be okay without it. And then I just pinch it as that loop and pull it out. You can see it here. This is the little tiny end, and tuck it in. And you want to make sure that's super thin so that it's not creating a hard spot. If you just pull the whole chunk, and that's quite a bit of wool that I pulled off of it, right? I actually can show you. Like this, under those loops, if you leave that there, that's going to create your hard spot, right? And then you just flip the pad over, and I'll show you how I start again. Okay, so I've got the thin down end, and you're, see how super thin it is? You're just going to fold that over your fingers so it starts to take that form, and bring it in and start your pattern. Try and get a little closer. So I'm still skipping a hole, coming in right next to where I left off. My wool is looped over my finger, and hook it. I don't know if you can see that. It's hooked. Pull it through. Underneath, you can see a little tiny bit of the frayed edge. And just smooth that into your roving and keep going. I'm at another spot to join, so I'll do the same thing I did last time and just kind of pinch the wool close to the pad and start thinning it down and just kind of comb through it. And you can use the wool for other projects later. Throw it out. There's so many uses for wool. I'll cover that in another video. You just want to keep the part that's closest to the pad about the same height as your loops, as thick as the loops, and then just really thin down the rest. You could probably use some other tool to do this too, but I just don't. It's fast. Just stay with what you're already using, what you're doing. And I've found that this is more efficient than trying to just pull it with your hands. So when you feel like that's pretty thin, try to turn it this way this time. And this is on the back side of the pad. I do all my ends on one side of the pad. It really actually doesn't matter which side because you should flip and rotate your pads. And I'll go through 3 loops so you can see me. Usually I just go straight through like this. I don't kind of go up and out. I was just doing that to show you, so I'll go grab that. Make sure you can close the latch hook over it, and it's like there's hardly any wool there. Hold your loop and pull it through. And then the piece that's left over is just tiny, and you can tuck it in between 2. And so this is where it is. If it's standing up tall, just find that little piece and pull it in shorter. And you can kind of feel your loops, see if they feel thick compared to the ones beside them. So you don't want them to feel thick. Got your little ball of wool and put that away. Okay, same thing. We just kind of make sure it's nice and thin. Create that loop, get the feel for pulling it back on itself, and start back into your pattern. And grab that loop, pull it up, and then you're smoothing your wool together. So that's the roving in the end. And then you just continue on in your pattern. I'll see if I can show you guys through the canvas. See if I can get it to focus through the canvas so you can kind of see a little bit what I have going on with my hands. And don't forget, you can slow it down in the settings on YouTube. Coming into the corner And then I turn my pad around, and this is kind of what I meant by I just move my pad a lot so I don't clamp it. I like to be able to move it across the table. I'll show you one more join each way. So this is the one where we're thinning it down. And go in through 2 or 3 loops. Hook it, close your hook. And leave it buried in there. Okay, in this style, we're just starting over again. So this is the same thing you would do if you were color changing. You're just gonna fold your wool over and grab it from that point on your finger. Pull your loop up so that it's level, and then smooth your wool together so that when you start your next loop, that roving's gonna fold in on itself. And then you continue on. Now we're going back to my favorite join, and I just wanted to show you guys kind of what that looks like. So these are the 2 thin down ends. This is just an extra piece of roving, but this is what it looks like when you're joining it. You want to thin it so that essentially it's like the same thickness as the rest of your roving. So I have this piece here to add onto my saddle pad, so that's kind of what I'm doing there, and I just smooth them together. Tuck the pad in my elbow now. I think that's how I hold it most of the time once it starts to get some weight to it. And pull your loop through and continue on. Okay, so I'm coming to the end for tonight. I'll meet back up with you here tomorrow for day 3, and so I think I'm like 10 rows in, and tomorrow I'm gonna do 2 pounds, but I try to get at least to row 16 or round 16, and I'll let you know how that goes. Thank you for watching. If this helped you in any way, please remember to like and subscribe.